Okay, folks, I've got 7:02 and I will call the meeting to order. All members are present. Here from the public. Paul, I see you on. Any comments from the public?
No, nothing for me.
Okay, hearing none, we will move on. First, Selectmen's briefing. Neither one of you are going to be surprised, but we have not received the union contract yet. We have a promise that we're going to have it in hand tomorrow morning. And I'm not holding my breath, but that was the last word that we got. Veterans Day Memoriam this year, we're going to combine with Willington and Mansfield. And it is going to be held, hopefully we'll have they're still finishing the program in Willington, but we'll have the program on our website first thing in the morning.
I noticed, Bill, I noticed that there was no discussion about this with any of us. But it was put in the Ashford Citizen. How did this come about? We have no idea.
We had Chris pressed on a request from me that she had received from the Selectmen's office in Willington. And what they wanted to do was honor there's only 7 members of World War II veterans still with us between the 3 towns. And they wanted to do a function in Willington. We have one remaining member, Mr. Salati, and they've had proclamations made out by the state reps and state senator, and all of that. And it was I made the final decision, and I apologize if I didn't share it with you. It did come on last minute to do it in Willington this one year as an exception. And it's
Well, it couldn't have come on last minute because the information needed to be put in the Ashford Citizen last month.
Finalization of it. I think the way it's worded in there, that we would stay tuned and try to fill everybody in as we got more information. We actually just received the program late this afternoon with all of the particulars, but it will be at the Veterans Memorial in Willington, commencing at 11:15, and then we'll adjourn. There'll be awards again in the program as soon as we get a revision, because what we got this afternoon, there were some errors on it. But then that will be adjourned to a refreshments and snacks and a social at the Willington Senior Center. Okay, we don't have to do it right now, but I would like to the board to entertain going into executive session to discuss a couple of HR personnel issues, general issues, not specific to any particular person.
Okay, so we don't have that on the agenda, right?
That's correct.
All right, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel issues.
I'll second that.
Okay, do we want to do that right now?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to go into executive session and to discuss HR issues. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, Chris, who is on?
Guys, we have to get the recording turned off, and there's
And you'll have to turn it back on afterwards.
well, I don't see anybody from Tai Chi.
Well, you have
signed on.
Paul Vargas on.
Yeah, but there's nobody from Tai Chi signed on to stop the recording.
Can you try to call them?
I will do that.
We'll work through a few more things on the agenda.
Why don't we work on the agenda while Chris tries to get a hold of them, and then we'll continue on. Can you modify your motion, a friendly amendment for that, Catherine?
Which is to go where on the agenda?
As soon as we can confirm that we can go into private session from Taiki.
That's fine. What I would recommend that was whenever we know we're going to go into an executive session, that we at least let Tyke know about it. So that we do have the adequate
Yeah,
support for it.
typically they're on with us, but I agree. I will continue on with the selectmen's briefing, transfer station updates. Everything continues to go smooth there. We figure that about 1,400 plus stickers have been going out to date. We've had about 3 dozen turnarounds, and over the past week and a half, we've actually turned away a half a dozen people from other towns that were very surprised that they can no longer dump with us. Not sure why. So that seems to be going real well. It seems that our loads, I think it's too soon to make a real evaluation, but our loads going out have dropped.
I would expect that.
I don't know what the percentage is yet, but I've also, in talking to staff up there, have heard there's been an appreciable drop in any of the large trucks coming in and dumping things. So I think we're on the right course. Hold on one second.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, Mike's gonna get in touch with John. And
Okay,
he'll shoot me a text when they're ready.
they'll let
to
us know. Okay, thank
off.
you. The pavers project has been completed. I don't know if you folks have had a chance to look at it, but it's come out very, very nicely. I did send both of you the 3 proposals, emailed them to you today.
This afternoon, because
this
I checked my
afternoon.
mail, because I didn't.
Yeah,
see
it was late this morning, early this afternoon. Tremco House, we discussed it briefly at our last meeting. I don't know if Catherine, you or Roger have given any thought to it, but it is an item that I'd like to carry on the agenda for our next meeting. We have a couple of courses to do it, to make a request to the Board of Finance to finance that through capital non-reoccurring or
And you're talking about the removal of the tank and the, I'm sorry,
boiler.
the furnace and the tanks?
Correct. And the prices that we've got right now, just to reiterate, are in the area for a total of $9,500. Just a point of information for both of you, DPW has reported to me that one of our main plow trucks, our Freightliner, continues to be in repair. It originally the cost for repair was about $11,000. The problem has not been corrected. It's back at the repair shop, and they're saying it may be a possible other $7,000, but we don't have the estimates on that yet. Apparently, it's something to do with the air pollution systems. There's also another issue, a spending issue that's on the horizon there. I've been informed that there's leaks in the oil system in our main compactor at the transfer station. I've asked our public works director to get some costs. Apparently, I'm not sure if it was during Ralph's term or Mike's term, there were major repairs done on that same unit that ran us somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000. I'm being told right now, if we were to go the way of repairing it, that whole unit would probably have to be shut down for 2 to 3 weeks minimum. If we order a new piston in for that unit, the unit itself would only be down for a couple of days once that unit comes in. But stay tuned. I'll let you know once we get some firmer price on the costing on that.
So have they determined that the leaks are because of the piston?
That's what I'm advised, Kathy. The piston is starting to let go.
And
Right.
again, you're getting costs on the piston
Yes,
and the repair?
I've asked David to try to get us a scope of what the work is and estimated cost and downtime and that sort of thing. You know, the result, if that thing goes down, or we would have a a rebuild of it there on site, our loads would increase drastically because we'd be going directly to dumpsters with no compaction. And I don't know what the impact of that would be, but
7:30.
it could be what?
7:30, don't turn it off.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Chris just advised me that Tai Chi has advised them at 7:30. They'll turn it off and we can go into executive session. Excuse me. Item 5, acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting. I'm asked to continue that. Chris has not had a chance to finalize those yet. So
Well, but what about the 10:24 minutes? I don't think did we approve those? I thought we passed on that
we
because
passed on those
Roger
the
wasn't
last
there.
time. I don't see them here. I mean, it's not on the agenda, but we can certainly move to accept the minutes of the 24th. Are you ready to make that motion, Catherine?
We'd have to add it to the agenda, right?
Approval of minutes.
Roger, have you had a chance to review those minutes?
Yeah, they seem,
Okay. I move that we add the acceptance of the October 24th meeting minutes to the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second, a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Motion approved. Do I have a motion?
I move to accept the minutes from the October 24th.
I'll second.
We have motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Hear from boards, commissions? Nothing. Okay, the item 7 under old business, Ashford School roof replacement. It's still finalizing with the architect that has been chosen by the building committee. Town council is taking a look at that. And that is in process. I haven't heard further about any meetings, but I know the call today said they were going to be giving the school a call, so I'll keep you posted as I hear more. Item B, ratification of the ASME contract that we've already talked about. We have not seen it yet. Item C, ARPA account update. I believe Chris sent it to you folks earlier. I must be honest with you. I know there's a figure there that I know Chris worked diligently on it, but I'm still not real firm on the bottom line there. I think this is just a general guideline, but there are a number of figures here that I know are going to be less than what we appropriated. Like the entrance to town, Knowlton Hall, like the pavers. A couple of the items that were in yellow that she can comment to this too, maybe a little clearer than I can, but the items that are in yellow are either overages or underages. So that bottom line that we're showing in red here of 7,686 to me is a general guideline, but not as firm as I'd like it.
Yeah, at some point, I think we should have a working meeting on this. And how we're actually monitoring this.
Yeah,
It sounds like when we go to get the information, there's a bit of a scramble. And then we're not confident with the numbers. There's got to be a better way to track this.
yeah. I think having a dedicated meeting to this and having Laura sit in and also Sherry Susie, as well as Chris and Ann, and we all put our heads together and come up with a way. It's just a moving target and it continues to be very hard to track.
Well, the thing is that the costs, the monies that, are spent and everything are tracked.
Excuse
They
me.
have to be tracked. They're checks, right?
Correct.
And it doesn't indicate other than which things have been completed, any percentage of what's done, right? I don't see it.
It definitely needs more fine tuning, Catherine.
The spreadsheet shows you completed projects with either
Yes.
overpayments or underpayments.
Yes, saw that.
I think the things that are, the items that are still not in any block color are
Yep.
projects that have not been billed or started.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful because I couldn't tell.
Yep.
But that was it. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, going to new business. I know.
Before we go, okay, we'll go
Go
to
ahead.
new business. I have something I want to add to the agenda.
Okay. I see and I know of no appointments to any of the open seats that we have. Item B is tax refunds. Do we have anything, Chris?
There's one tax refund citing statute 12-129 to Carrie Conklin for $9.61.
Do I have a motion?
So moved to
Second.
approve that.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, item C, act on ratification of Woodward Cemetery deed. You want to explain
Did we
that,
get a
Chris?
copy of whatever that is?
The deed, the cemetery deed?
Oh. Yeah, whatever it was, whose?
It's
Deed?
It's the standard cemetery deed that the town clerk prepares.
Okay, and it's a cemetery deed for a plot, or is it something else?
Section C, lot 30, plots 2 and 3 on the map designated as extension to Woodward Cemetery, Ashford, Connecticut. Map on file in the town clerk's office in said town of Ashford.
Okay,
And the price was $600.
can I ask if that was from someone in town versus outside of town? A resident?
Somebody from stores. Or they have a
Thank you.
store's address.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item D, discuss and act on appointment of a transfer station custodian based upon rankings received from the selection committee. I
Should
believe,
we be talking, since this is a potential employee, should we be talking about this in executive session? To talk about the, what the recommendations were? I mean, I see the rankings, but there's no discussion about why these people were ranked the way they were, or, what, in terms of the top people, that kind of thing.
I think we can add this to general discussions because we're not going to be talking about anybody in particular when we go into executive session with HR.
I would prefer that.
Mainly what I was thinking about was talking about process and how the board
Okay.
wanted to proceed on that. So
Okay.
let's do that when we go into executive session.
All right.
And
Well,
item
do
E,
you,
discuss
Bill,
and-
do you want to talk about process here? Because that's in front of the public, what our process is?
I'm comfortable with whatever you and Roger feel,
Yeah, I think you
either
talked
way.
about the process.
The process is something I think the public should be able to be aware of.
What I was interested in, okay, we'll talk about some process. What I was wondering, if the board wanted to go ahead and invite and set up interviews for the 4 top individuals that the selection committee has come up with. And whether or not any of the members of the board have anybody else that stood out to them that they'd like to possibly consider calling in. I don't
So-
have anybody. I'm satisfied with the selections they've made. And I've had general discussions with the committee after they submitted them. And they felt they did a thorough exam of the applications and the selections as they had provided them to us.
So did they interview them?
My understanding is no, they did not interview them. They reviewed their application forms. Many of them
Well,
local residents.
Yeah, then I would expect that we would interview them. Somebody needs to interview them.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So yes, I like the idea of the top four. It would be nice, to have had, to have the information. We don't have anything on them, just the names.
well, I believe the application packages were sent to everybody.
No,
Did you get that, Roger?
No,
no,
Maybe,
Chris?
no.
Chris?
I will look. I know they were sent.
I thought they were too.
I will look and see when they were
Well,
sent.
Thank you.
In the back of something.
We'll double check. If they weren't sent, we'll get them out to you tomorrow.
All
I
right.
was under the impression, because I got copied on it, that they had gone to everybody. Is there a day of preference? Would we want to try to do this on a daytime, a Saturday morning maybe, or a Friday morning? I would like to get this done sooner rather than later. Just because we
Uh,
need DPW.
I can pretty much make myself available whenever. I have an appointment tomorrow midday and I've got something on Friday morning.
Yeah, I think tomorrow we're all gonna
Yeah,
be a little
tomorrow.
busy.
Tomorrow we're bogged down.
Actually, Wednesday midday.
Okay,
I'm a day ahead of myself.
Yeah.
so Wednesday is a no for you, but
Wednesday's
Thursday,
no for me
Friday,
too.
and Saturday? Either Thursday,
I'm
Friday.
out Saturday.
You're out Saturday.
I gotta do it.
Saturday?
I can't.
cannot
Saturday, I
do
got
it
a
on-
function on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So we're looking at either, well, we have a regular meeting scheduled for Tuesday morning. Do we want to try to do it then?
I'm good with that.
Works for me.
All right.
Why don't we shoot for that? I'll let you know if that turns out to be a problem with any of the candidates. But let's
All right.
shoot for doing it then.
Right.
And we will invite the 4 top candidates. Okay. Thank you very much. I believe the item here, we've suggested that we hold off till after tomorrow on discussion of the Board of Selectmen meeting calendar.
Okay. So I have an item to add to the agenda at this point.
Okay.
Okay, and this is a discussion on the paving contract. So
Paving
I make a
contract.
motion that we add that to the agenda.
Is there a particular paving contract, Catherine, we're talking about?
The pavers and,
We only have the one that's going on right now with the pavers.
oh, the paver. not the
Pavers,
paving.
it's not paving, but pavers, okay.
Well, paving there.
I only asked because we've got an inquiry from the Attorney General's office about the paving companies that we've used over the past 5 years with the town. They've got something going on, and I have submitted that, but that's why I asked. I didn't know if there was a particular. There's a motion on the floor. Has it been seconded?
No, sir.
There's a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, so we don't have, first of all, when we issue contracts, it's the Board of Selectmen that authorizes the first selectman to approve the contract, to sign the contract. That was not done for the pavers that are being, were put in front of Knowlton Hall. I don't have a concern that the work looks like it was split between the DPW and one of the employees who has his own company. Okay, one of the DPW employees who has his own company. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the fact that it was an employee who got the contract, because I think when you look at this, it looks like it was something that was in comparison to the other 2 estimates that we were provided, which again, Roger and I didn't see. That when all is said and done, it saved money in the long run. I don't know if our DPW people were paid overtime for the work that they put in, or if this was during their regular hours. My problem is the fact that you signed a contract, Bill, or maybe there was no contract because we haven't seen the contract. All we saw was an estimate of what the work would be and what would be included and not included. It was not what it looks like a contract at all. So did you receive a contract, or was a contract drafted up? That's one. The second part is that the way we do things is that the Board of Selectmen looks at what the contracts are, and they authorize you to sign them. And for something that's over that's $32,000, we would most definitely do that. And in fact, during our Tuesday meeting, we did that very thing for a contract for the architectural services for the $5 million roof replacement on Ashford School. We had the normal process, which is someone you present information. If there's any questions on the contract or whatever, we bring those up. If it needs to be looked at again by anybody, that's fine. And then it comes back to us, and then we make a motion to approve it, to give you the approval, to approve your signing the contract. That did not happen with the paving contract. And I'm concerned because I don't want this to be a precedent as to how we operate.
Well, there was not a formal contract written. I sent the proposal off to town council. He reviewed it, had no problem with the form or what was stipulated in the proposal. We ran into a time scenario. First of all, we had a supply issue where they didn't, for over 7 months, we were told pavers were unavailable, the material themselves. We had a small window to get this in because it had to be installed, although there was no paving to be cured. There was a specialized sand that had to be used in the final setting of the pavers. So we were under time restrictions for weather, and also to get this done before election day. Because we
I know you wanted it done before election day.
we didn't. Well, I'm not sure what you meant by that, but the idea was we didn't want to have interference with people coming in and out as a result of the construction. Or I don't know how familiar both of you were, but the existing condition of that surface there was treacherous and a standing liability for the town.
We knew that, and that's why why that was put forth as for ARPA monies.
Right.
So again, we live in the same town. We're all selectmen. You could have written an email to let us know what was going on, which didn't happen. And then it didn't come up in terms of who got the contract or how it was done or anything. To the point where both Roger and I were, as I told you during our Tuesday meeting, we were caught flat-footed when people were coming up to us and asking us what's going on. Because what they saw was they saw DPW people working there, and then they saw the DPW person who got the contract working there, and they saw the name on the truck and the whole thing. So we couldn't even respond to the public. It looks pretty bad when the other two selectmen aren't made aware, and we should be part of the decision making. So we're perfectly capable of coming to, of doing not an emergency meeting necessarily, but a special meeting. And I believe that when I look at what was provided for information about this from you guys on Friday, was that there was time in terms of meetings for us to know that people who had bid on it and what was being contemplated.
I agree with just about everything you've said, Catherine, and I can only apologize. We were in a time restriction to try to get it done. I had brought it up at several of our selectmen's meetings, but I did not, I agree, get into the particulars, who it was going to be awarded to and what the rationale was there. So for that, I apologize. And
I just don't want us to operate in that fashion. It's really not proper.
I don't know of any other times that anything like that has happened. And all I can do is say that, we missed the ball on that. If you guys were left, and apparently were out in the cold, and didn't mean to put you in that situation. As far as overtime, none of our DPW crew did any overtime at all. it was explicit that our two other bidders did not want to do all of the pre-work. That's the dismantling and everything else. And wanted us to do that. That was kind of consistent out of the 3 proposals that we were able to get. That was done on town time and with no extra cost to the town as far as labor goes or overtime. The work that Jordan did there, as a
We weren't
private-
mentioning any names.
as a
Mind
private,
you,
it's public record, but as a private contractor, was done on his time. There were some of our equipment that was used, our articulating
Yes.
arm on our loader was used, and it was supervised by our foreman, that it was handled properly and everything, frankly, to cut it down on our cost. We did a similar thing when we had the split units put in to Knowlton Hall. We were able to save, it was either $3,000 or $3,500 by letting the contractor Nutmeg use our lift on that. And it's because they would have had to go down and rented one. We have the equipment, they know how to handle it. We're very competent people in both that case and with the pavers. So that was a lot of the menu that helped us save the money that we did and what the potential cost of that
no,
was.
we understand that, but I'm always the person that's going, okay, what if we had had a problem? Would we have already had it laid out as to how that would be handled? What if that employee doing this job had been injured on the job?
We had an insurance certificate from him, our typical insurance requirement.
Which we didn't see. Yeah.
Excuse me. And that would have covered him certainly under his own liability.
All right. Well, as I said, this is not how, to me, that's not government in the sunshine. So I have a hard time with that. So in the future, I would hope that that's not what we do in any circumstance. Worst case scenario is that we get a call, say, hey, we're up against a wall here or something, so that we know what's going on and we can respond to the public. It was not good, and it was not good optics when they found out that it was an employee that got the contract. So we had no way to work with it to explain that there were some cost savings involved in doing it this way.
I agree. I heard you the first time, Catherine. Thank you. Anything more?
Nope.
No? All right. I think I saw John pipe in from Tyche.
You guys
it-
need an executive session?
We're going to go into executive session to discuss a HR issue.
You want to vote and then I'll pause the recording?
We had already voted, but we can
to go, okay.
reiterate that.
You're going into executive session now?
Correct.
We're going
Okay.
in at what time is it?
7:36.
Okay.
Good
right.
man.
He's on the ball.
Thank
sir.
you.
All right, we are out of executive session at 8:17. And I will, seeing nothing further on our agenda, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right. Folks,
All in
thank you
favor?
very much.
Aye.
And we will see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Take
Okay,
care.
good luck tomorrow. Good luck
Good luck,
tomorrow, Bill.
everybody.
Same to you.